still on the computer. Gray's not over there anymore.
I think so, but I will double check here.
Okay. Awesome, Miigwich Amber.
Tim's here.
In the building.
Tim's on line two. Oh, okay. Teague, would you introduce yourself?
Stephanie Williams is still on too, and Menarda Pierce.
Can you say that name again?
Sorry. The last one?
Yeah.
Menarda Pierce. Monarda. And then the last name is Pierce.
Okay. Okay.
Would you get it my Maganda? You see this guy? I'm a voting member of the AIPAC. Lydia Schinkel, I'm a voting parent on the AIPAC. Ali Buju, I'm a place for Indigenous. I'm here to help present on the code.
A visitor hoping to present about the quarter.
Okay. Does anyone else want to introduce themselves?
Jamie, my name is Jamie De La Cruz. I'm one of the liaisons, and I work with the Indigenous cohort.
Awesome. I just saw Tim walk in. If you wouldn't mind introducing himself.
Tim, can you say your name for a roll call?
Tim Cole, parent, AIPAC, Title 6, JOM.
Okay.
Bonjour. Niwaka Nini Bidabin Indigenous cause. I'm a parent of a child that goes to school at here. So, anyways, I also sit on different parent committees. So, a lot of kids. Part-time Uber driver.
Number.
Yeah, depends what kids wants to ride.
All right, cool. I'm going to call that okay. Oh, go ahead then.
She was going to go. Wakia Samuk, Bijou Dotem. Sheila White, Coordinator, American Indian Education.
Only if you want to.
I'm Jerry Sari. I'm one of the school counselors here at Denfeld, presenting about the.
Awesome.
Tom Tuscan, Principal of Denfeld. Welcome to Denfeld, everyone.
Miigwich.
I'm Teresa Severance. I'm the HR person. I'm going to talk about the recruitment and retention later in the agenda. I'd like to go give you a hug.
All right, cool. One more call. We're going to move on then. Oh.
I guess I forgot myself, but I'm Gray Black. I'm the Office Support for American Indian Education at Duluth Public Schools.
Okay. Last call.
One more in the back.
I'm Hillary Cole. I'm from the 10.
I think we're good. Okay. Let's see. At the top, we have budget and opening prayer from Sheila White. Do you want to do that, or do you want to just let them present? How would you like that to look?
Well, traditionally, you open up a meeting with a smudge and a prayer, and it was already open when I came in. It was already started, so maybe we can. It was my fault for not moving that piece onto the JOM agenda. So just maybe, a reminder to myself to make sure I take off, and put it on. We're in a good place, and it's not out of disrespect. It was just that a lot was happening at the time that I was making changes to this agenda, and I didn't follow back. So my apologies. Miigwech kishe manitu.
Okay. This is just going to be a quick reminder. We're really going to try and stay on task here, and try and keep our comments or questions down to 2 minutes after the presentation. We've already used up a lot of you guys' time, so we're really appreciative of you coming and presenting this for us. So we don't have any meeting minutes from the February 12th meeting. None were taken. So there's nothing to approve. We can discuss that at a later time. So we're going to move directly into the cohort update to AIPAC, and that is on here as Memegwesikwe and Amanda, or yes.
So, Buju Memegwesikwe Indigenous House and getting the Benkichini Buju Jabana Sabikami da Nanakima Duluth Public Schools. Anakana Dikimake Ujubaimoan, Beji Minuanij, Minua, helping with the Indigenous cohort. So I said my name is Memegwesikwe. Diana is my English name. I'm Eagle Clan from Grand Portage. I teach language here, and was part of the team that first kind of initiated the Denfeld Indigenous cohort. And so we're just here to talk about
participate in that. They need to be in the lab for something.
And
Yeah.
then the students, you can do 9th and 10th grade English in the same room during the same hour, and the social studies, he was able to incorporate that. But the science is so different, the physical science for biology, and then the maths are very different. So the students that had gained those 9th grade credits, those 10th graders that had already passed intermediate algebra, they're going together to a school within the school, a small geometry class during that same hour that the math hour is. And for the science, those students that passed that 9th grade are going to the biology, a smaller one, that same hour. So that's how we've been able to do the 2 grades together.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question here? Just about the 9th and 10th grade English. Do they read like the exact same text the other 9th, 10th grade does, or is there some opportunity to maybe choose some native lit authors?
So it's all, like, what a student reads is up to the teacher, as long as it meets those standards. So we're working with the teachers to have more.
Yeah, they are reading, they're reading literature by Indigenous authors right now.
Okay.
So even though we didn't get to work on any curriculum, what we did was take the standards that are already in the curriculum and try to focus on that. So he came in the beginning and asked about some stories, and for us to vet, or for me to vet resources, and for ask for some of those things. There were some general cultural things that we talked about, I met with each teacher and talked about, and then I had a resource book that I used for some other stuff that I gave each of them, and just kind of asked if whatever else they needed from that point.
That sounds ideal for an instructional para.
Well, and just for now, for us to start, that's the first focus, is to start to find what's relevant.
That's all. It's a pilot. You're not going to get it all perfectly year one. I just wanted to be sure that those native lit resources are being incorporated.
As much as we possibly can.
Yep, awesome.
Yep. So students attend as much of the core classes as are appropriate for the graduation plan. As Jerry was saying, some students have passed the main courses. Some students maybe didn't pass 9th grade science, so then they're in this science. So they're in whatever course fits best for them, with as many cohort courses as we can fit with them. Students that pass 9th grade science and intermediate algebra, as Jerry was saying, went into an FWS. So even if they are not in a cohort class, we are putting the students that need extra support
making your job easy.
Like when she says you could get 2 or 3 or 4 credits or whatever of the work or some of these other things, it really adds up.
Right.
You know, it really adds up.
And for some of the hands-on learners that have a hard time sitting still, a light goes off because they've been working since they were like 12 or 14, and that's like their superpower.
Yeah.
So when they see that there's alternatives,
Right.
they get really excited. So that's part of the engagement. We're trying to make, and then they realize they need to know how to write and do math. So then we're making the curriculum relevant that way too.
Is that credit recovery option that you just described, I know it's available for these cohort students, is it available for students outside of the cohort that weren't ever invited in?
Yeah, that's available, that's a school thing.
That's a school thing?
We're
That's
just tapping into it.
You're just tapping into it? Okay.
Yeah, that's through ALC, but we also have done something in this cohort with the English and the social studies where the teachers are, if the student didn't pass the 9th grade for the sophomores, they are able to recover the standards during the hour in those classes. They're doing some extra work. They have to have good attendance, but when they do that, they can get that half credit back or whatever they missed last year. So they'll get that back and they won't have to do it in summer school. So the cohort kids, that's a little extra thing, but everybody else goes through ALC.
What about SPED students?
We'll come to that in a second.
Okay.
And this part of it was also to connect students to post-secondary education options and help create pathways for success in college and career choices, making a higher learning plan. And we'll come to more about that in a future slide here. So the trends that we found so far. Most freshmen were not ready to be in the cohort, need to transition to high school first. Most either left or did not do well. So we wanted to catch them right away when they came in, before they had a chance to go out track, get them right away. What we found out is they actually just wanted to be in high school for a little bit. They wanted to figure out what they could do, what they couldn't do, and they were not necessarily successful in the cohort.
Jane, will you speak on that a little bit too about
Darcy.
them
About
coming
the
in?
9th grade? Well,
Yeah.
we were talked a lot about how we didn't really have a plan for that. We wanted to catch students that were disengaged from middle school, and they went 3 years. Some of them had really poor attendance, didn't earn any credit, and then they came here. So we weren't really prepared to deal with that, and we didn't have a layer of support to acclimate them back into the expectations of school. So that's mostly why we feel like that wasn't successful for 9th graders. Should we not focus on them? No, but moving forward, the plan is to try to set them up with some of those other supports in the building, put them in those SWS classes, and if that's not successful for them, then look at entering them into the cohort second semester, where they've already had a chance to go through some of those processes. So we're not going to address it, we're making a new plan to address it.
Right.
And that's how we're going to move forward with 9th graders.
Oh, great.
So to create a transition.
Amber Lightman, there's a question. Go on, Amber.
So my son was kicked out of the cohort. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
So he was kicked out of the cohort because he didn't have the right supports and whatnot. He went from missing school a good bit to he maybe goes once a week now. And he still doesn't have a Chromebook. He still doesn't get those supports outside of the classroom. And I'm wondering if he would be eligible to get back into the cohort next year because he says unless he's going to classes with his peers, he does not want to go to school.
I feel like
So nobody was kicked out.
Nobody
People
was
were
kicked out.
transitioned out. Before students are transitioned out, I meet with the classroom teachers and we try to make a transition plan for them. We try to meet with their case manager and try to address those needs and we do a couple interventions before people are transitioned out. But if they're transitioned out of those core classes, most of them are still and unless they don't come to school for whatever reason, are in that first hour class.
I feel like this is more
And there are some students that we had who have IEPs, and we were not able to meet those needs because we don't have a special education teacher, and because that's kind of supplanting. That's supposed to be their first level of support is their IEP. And so if that's not working for them, it's very unlikely that they are going to have success in this program.
The core classes are grade level general education classes that are infused with
but everybody has the option of being there and being enrolled in that class when they transition.
I feel like this sounds like a very specific incident, and maybe that this is not the
The place.
platform to like discuss that. I feel like hear that there's some genuine concerns and issues for Amber's student that definitely should be discussed. I don't know if this setting is that, if that's a meeting that Sheila could meet with the staff and the family, or, you know, like figure that out. I don't know if this is the best place to hash out what did or did not happen and what.
Oh, I was actually just asking if he would be eligible to come back in next year in 10th grade.
I feel like that's a question maybe.
I think
Thumbs up from Tom Tuscan.
So we're going through the slides and we're talking about what our plan is moving forward. So this is just where our progress is right now, and then in a couple slides we'll talk about what our plan is moving forward.
Yep. So again, as Jamie just said, this is just what we're finding. What we're going to do as a result of these findings will be like in what we're going to do next. So this is what we found so far. And again, this is a first year. We're just getting started with this. It's difficult to even get any data at this point because it's such a small group. And that's another thing that I want everybody to be aware of when we're talking about. A lot of people want the numbers, want the data, want the numbers. We have such a small group of people that there is FERPA, there is privacy rights in place that if we give data because it's such a small group, people say, oh, I know that student's that student, and that student's that student. And that's like district-wide. So the greatest gains for sophomores, we saw that in our best group this year, this first year. Most are doing better, made significant increases in credits completed for graduation. For some students, attendance is still an issue. Students that transition out of the cohort are still offered support, like Jamie was just saying, and interventions. As a result of this, what we're finding out so far, this is one of the best things I think that we've seen, is students have a better relationship with school adults and are more open to receiving support from the counselors. So Jerry is kind of our counselor in residence, and she has had conversations with students that have never talked to her before. They're coming to her asking for help and addressing her and saying hello even in the hallways and bringing their friends. So that's one of the, I don't want to say unintended benefits, but something that we didn't really see happening that has been, I think, a really good thing for the students in their future career in the school. They won't be afraid to ask for help. They'll know what those pathways are.
And they've found their voice. When some of them, when we transition out, like I had a couple of kids that the morning wasn't working for them for the English class. They could have easily passed the class, but the time of the day wasn't working. So I talked to them and we moved it further in the day. So it took them out of the cohort for that, but it was with teachers that they knew, and I showed them who was in the classes, and I think it's going well. It's working better for them. The one girl who said hi to me in the hallway, she hasn't talked to me for 2 years, and she goes, hi, Mrs. Sorry, one morning I almost dropped my coffee. But the kids feel like they have a voice. And one came in and said he didn't like this class. He wanted to go to another class where his friends were. And I'm like, are you going to go? And he said, yeah, I'll go. And I said, okay, let's do it. And he's been going ever since. So they're using their voice. They're finding, one went on a field trip today to the fire school. They're finding that if they ask for things, that they're seeing that there's benefits in school and things that they want to do. So that's been really nice, that they're actually talking about, you know, why they're not going to class or what they want to see changed. So that's been really nice.
So, Professor, can I just say one more thing about the sophomores? I also want to acknowledge there was, except for maybe, well, I shouldn't even get into it, but I was going to say Tom, nobody has been more torn and heartbroken about who can be in the cohort and who stays, and like Mrs. Sari is saying, who succeeds. Because, you know, I think those of you that know me know that whatever I'm good or bad at, I really do honestly love and care for these kids. And so, yes, we want that. What I will tell you is being accomplished by the size and the medicine that's happening with these teens in there, with those ladies and with the teachers that push in. I'll give you a pretty concrete example today. A couple of the kids happen to be together, the sophomores happen to be together in the computer science class, which is kind of pretty hard class. It's a new program. It's their afternoon when they're not in the cohort. These teens get a pass, get permission, get all their work done, get a pass, and they happen to be in the Indian Ed room, and one one of those kids recently, I had a conversation. Of course, I didn't bring it up with other kids around. But this is a young lady who really, really struggled with school. Forget that I said the gender, but I mean, it's sort of, but here's the thing. Really, I think it's A's and B's. There might be a C in there this year. And so what I think that they're finding with Mrs. Dela Cruz and Miss Horton and the professor and, you know, the women and then also these other, you know, Mrs. Nelson and all these other teachers that are coming in is they are learning, yes, they're learning the content, but they are getting comfortable with who they are and that they happen to be indigenous and they belong here, which is, and I think that that is an important goal that I mean, I might be putting this on you, but I think Mr. Tuscan, you know, was part of why he greenlit this is like we want everyone to feel like they are part of what happens here and it matters. And these are just anecdotes, but again, it's a first year, and I'm telling you, these kids, when they're done with the computer stuff, they want to get the pass and spend more. It's not just sitting there gossiping and stuff, but I mean, it's just like they want to be together. And you know, and even there, they're like, what's going on with the homework? Or there was a younger girl and some boy, you know, saying like, you know, this is you should expect to be treated in these positive ways, stuff like that. That is, you know, it's not my culture, but I know enough about it that I mean that's medicine with what's happening there, and then it transfers throughout the building. That's more than I wanted to say, but I think I'm good.
I just want to make one quick comment. You mentioned data. Just to be realistic, I personally am not expecting any relevant data for 4 to 7 years because that's how long it'll take a ninth grader to potentially graduate. Not only just on time, but make it all the way through. So, like, I feel like I just want to say that once a kid enters the cohort, they're a cohort student, and we don't lose them, even if they transition out and back in. I want to see that this cohort has a protective effect on the students who interact with them, you know, looking at both the 4, 5, 6, and 7-year graduation rate. So just wanted to say that.
And even though, you know, when we do look at some of the numbers, it's more looking at the trends, like what direction is it going? Is there any area that we see just fall off? And that's the kind of stuff that we're looking at. And we need to continue support for the students that are sophomores this year that are going to be juniors next year. We're not just going to throw them out, you know, into the general population. We want to continue that support because they're doing well. When a student does transition out to a different class or if they transition out of the cohort, we don't want them to feel like they're just off in the wind. So the challenge is, as I said, most of the ninth grade students didn't continue with the cohort, but we have a plan for that. So now we see, okay, this was kind of faltering. This is what the students might need. So we're not just going to let them go. Second semester is working better. The program cannot adequately support students with learning disabilities. We don't have funds for special education or licensed instructors. We really wanted to include every student who wanted to be in it, and we were really flexible with like, well, maybe we could do this, and maybe we can work with a case manager. And we just bent over backwards, but we just cannot provide the amount of support that a student with an IEP really needs. Again, there's other ways that we can support that student, but being in the general cohort is not one of them at this point. Attendance, we've not seen a significant increase in attendance. If students do not come to school, we cannot support them. So students are like, yeah, I want to be in the cohort, and then they show up maybe once a week or for a half a class twice a week, and we can't do anything with a student that's not here. So we try to have activities and field trips and engaging curriculum to bring them into school, but if they are not here, they are not here. So we need to look at some other supports and other ways through other departments that we have in the district to find supports for those students as well.
And regarding attendance, it's not one size fits all. I mean, some students will have health issues. Some students are avoiding class, or you know, maybe it's too high of a level for them. Some students, there's just a variety. So we don't just say you're not here, you're out. It's sitting down with them and saying, okay, what's going on? How can we help figure this out?
I feel like that's kind of misleading too, because there are a significant number of students who did not have any attendance last year, and that has changed dramatically this year. Even if they're not passing all the classes, think that's like one of the biggest indicators and reasons why I think Tom and other people in the school can say that they're very supportive of this, because just that little change in that was a great big deal. It was a huge deal. Like,
we have one sophomore that passed more classes last semester than he did all of his ninth grade year.
That's awesome.
So yeah, like each individual story is very unique. Yeah.
Can I just make a suggestion as far as for data tracking purposes? When a student transitions out of the cohort or transitions into the cohort, can we do like a very basic exit interview?
Coming up.
Why are you transitioning? Oh, awesome. Okay.
And Jerry's been doing it informally for the exit interviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the counselor, so that's some of the stuff that she mentioned about maybe it's the times of the classes.
Yeah.
You know, I like as far as transportation, like all students receive transportation support. Like if they have an ID, they have a bus pass to get here. You know, there are some other challenges with that. I feel like making sure that when they were in the building, that they're in the classroom was the expectation and the goal for the classroom. And like for me was to reestablish expectations for what school is, being here, being prepared, participating, and no phones. Those were like the 4 rules in the classroom that I just had to keep kind of drilling. So I never really got to the point where if somebody's not here on time, how can I support that? Maybe next year, you know, at some point, I totally think that needs to be, you know, something that's on the radar. It definitely is in my mind. It's just that we didn't move that fast. And, you know, to be honest, a lot of the things that we did, you know, in the beginning class when we were teaching like indigenous practices and perspectives, everybody was showing up. And, you know, as long as we had stuff prepared, like ready for them to come in and have breakfast, they were there in the morning. So those are some positive things. It was just about creating a place and a space and environment in the building where they want to be. Because I can never chase like 40 kids around outside of the school. So I have to be the spot in the building.
So they are learning their culture.
Yeah,
relearning, recovering, right? That's a lot of people are recovering their culture.
Yes,
right?
yes. And we talked about that too, that for us as indigenous people, there's a lot of historical trauma, and that we are all in a point where we're reclaiming our language and our culture. But what's different about this group that came together is that we had an opportunity to experience that and acquire that, and also our higher education opportunities. And what we want to be different is that we don't want that to be some protected information that people don't have and only access if they go to treatment or if they go to jail or if they happen to make it to college. So the whole plan about this is that we're going to try to integrate as much of that into this curriculum so that everybody knows it, so that you have that knowledge. You know, we're going to teach it. We institutionalize the knowledge, put it in school, teach our ways of knowing in the classroom.
Do you bring elders in?
We're still kind of acclimating some of our stuff. Like in the beginning, it was a lot of us as individual teachers and sharing our education stories with them and kind of sharing how we got to this place in this classroom and why we're here. You know, and the cohort is not just those students, but us as like individuals, even including the people in the group who want to change this educational experience for students.
And that kind of comes into the next thing. We'll get into the things that we're planning on for next year. And some things we just, like having us come in and having elders come in. And there's a lot of people that we've talked to in the community about coming in, but it's putting it all together that we're still kind of pulling those pieces in. Curriculum support for the teachers to create more culturally relevant materials. So we're working on how to find time with the teachers so that we can see what is your content area, what are your standards, how can we bring in
have to let that work for them. We have to let that work for them. So if there are students with special education needs that aren't getting met, then that has to be addressed through their IEP. It's kind of like, it would be supplanting for us to try to like, oh, we're going to try to intervene here and do that.
And the IEP is a legal document. We have to, like, as a district, we need to follow that. So a schedule is in place to continue to consolidate courses and steer students, I can't speak, towards PSE courses with support in the 11th and 12th grade. So as we can get students to encourage them to take a PSEO course, which is post-secondary educational opportunity, so it's college courses that they can get for free, and having support for them in the cohort or with other staff. So as they're doing well in this class or that class, encourage them to take these classes so that they can see themselves in college and they can see themselves taking these courses, but they'll have some support. It doesn't necessarily need to be just on their own as it would be.
But not just any courses, like looking at taking them through Fond du Lac so they can take Indigenous focused courses so that we don't have to recreate everything. Like they can take American Indian art through there, they can take Anishinaabe, they can take a language class, there's American Indian history. So those things are already focused, but also like creating a kind of section of the class, like a guided study hall. So when they first start to take these classes, that there would be an opportunity for me to be like, well, here's ways that you can look at doing your homework. Here's ways that, you know, we would meet every other day or on a daily during one of those class periods so that they could work on their work and access someone to support them through that and kind of teach them how to be in college. Because recovering all these study skills and academic skills is a huge piece.
And then have some success. Like once you get that first, you're like, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yep.
And the first one would probably be an online course, so then that way they could be attended and then they could get support so that they see what a college level course is like.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be putting them in calculus. We would start them out with something that's of interest to them and so they can see.
So it would be a kind of it would be a PSEO course, but in a CITS vibe of like you're at your high school, but you're doing the PSEO course online.
Yeah.
Would UMD be utilized? I understand it's not like a tribal college, but they have like an Indigenous Studies department, and they have, right, because PSEO, the true like essence of it is you are at the college. You are a college student, high school college student, where logistically for our students, like to go to Fond du Lac wouldn't be doable, but is UMD going to be a part of those PSEO classes that the core cohort is utilizing, or are they only looking at doing it in Fond du Lac?
They could be at UMD, but if we do it online, UMD does not allow PSEO students to do online, and they're very strict about the GPA. It's higher at
four-year
LSE and Fond du Lac. It's 3.0 for junior and 2.5 for senior. UMD is 3.5 for junior and 3.0 for a senior.
So
So we would have to look. I would think an online class would to introduce them, and then we would look maybe their senior year, and that would and that would be where they want to go and what they're ready for.
Yeah.
And I chose Fond du Lac because that there is already a lot of Indigenous curriculum and Indigenous study classes that are built into what they offer. And they have a 4-year education program, like to kind of connect some of those dots for kids and to mentor them into some of those opportunities.
Is LSC being utilized then too?
No, because they don't offer any Indigenous content.
But so just some information, Lydia.
Not if they're going to be part of this.
Is we have students that do PSEO at UMD, and we do have students who do PSEO at Fond du Lac College. Like there's ways you get the ride or you carpool or whatever. I understand your concern, but we have students who've done PSEO there and who do well. Also, separately, about a month or 3 months ago, I think many of the staff met with the PSEO coordinators at the various colleges, and I offered some, I would say, sharp feedback to UMD on how, they may be seeing some perpetuation of their disparities because of some of the challenges that their registrar's office puts up with UMD. I offered the same, basically similar feedback to St. Scholastica, and I do think, at least in the case of Scholastica, we've had some of their lower level administrators reaching out and trying to figure some things out to develop those connections.
So they would start to learn about all the tribal scholarships and access that. So that's why I'm not picking UMD or LFC. I'm focusing on this school, so it's a smooth transition for them moving forward.
If they choose to go there.
Yeah, well, they can go there, but they'll know that there's funding available. If they choose to go somewhere else, that's fine. But I'm gonna show them all of these things, so that's in line.
Is there any future thought of continuing this on 11th and 12th grade level?
Well, that's how we're gonna continue, is that instead of focusing on the 11th graders and keeping them in this building, we're gonna start helping them access their higher education plan. If that means having a job and taking these PSEO classes, doing those kinds of things, so that they can maybe even graduate early and leave.
Right.
You know, my daughter, when she was here, she had 2 classes that she needed. One here, and then the rest of her classes were at LSD. She left here after second hour, went to her job, did her classes.
Right.
So that's a lot of them, that's ideal setup, you know, like preparing them and moving them forward in the school.
Maybe I'd have to talk to you later sometime.
Yeah.
It honestly, it bothers me that special education students, our American Indian students, cannot be involved in this type of learning, because that is the kind of learning they need.
Well, they can be.
Right?
They just have to access through their IEP.
Right.
So we have to be able to meet their needs. It doesn't necessarily mean like we have some kids that have special education plans that are in the cohort. It's just we have to be able to meet their needs. So if their needs go beyond what we're able to provide, then we're not able to.
So it's not like you have an IEP, can't be
No,
part of our
it's
program.
not like that.
No,
It's
but
on an
when
individual basis.
And IEP students do
But see, I'm
PSEO all
thinking.
the time. So that's, PSEO is open to any student as long as you meet the academic criteria. So we have students on IEPs that do PSEO as well.
what you need
My
help with is
my
knowing
my
that
problem
your
is
IEP.
I'm looking at it from an American Indian, an Ojibwe perspective, right? I'm not looking at it through this school perspective, this perspective, because I'm looking at it through a different framework, and it's like, we need our culture so infused in there. This is going back, taking everything back from before boarding schools. If this was going to be the ideal way that we were going to actually access education, how would we do that? Because we already know, students that probably have ADHD, our communities would look at them as very special because they see outside this system, right? They can see things that we're not seeing, right? Outside the box, right? They see outside the box, and so it's like, that would be very valuable as a community, because we all can't do that, right? We understand we all have different gifts. We all have different things to give, right? So that's why, for me, I'm just explaining. I don't want to take your time
up.
up.
Troubles me about the IEP issue.
Yeah.
I think there may be. I'm hoping. This is the first year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I'm troubled by what you're saying.
Right.
Of what I saw, and I'm telling you, these are ladies I've known for many years. I trust them with these kids.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I saw is that it didn't totally work. And part of why, like, Mrs. Sari's role and even Mr. Tuscan's role is so important here is that it's not. We can't go back to the time before boarding schools, or even before the French, or even before my people came here 120, 30 years ago or whatever. We can't do that now. So what we need is these modern Ojibwe women or educators. What we need is for them to be infusing or working with this material and meeting these standards. Like, she just gave you like 5 different levels of credits that they need depending on how old they are. Like, we need to be doing Indigenous within a system that is itself, it's a colonized system. I hope that doesn't make people feel bad. But what they're finding is a way to do that, and then I think you grow it to a point, and I hope it's not for very long, because I am troubled by what you're saying about everybody having a voice. But in this case, there were kids where they were doing a lot of things to meet their needs, and the needs weren't met, and it didn't fit that teaching about compassion. It just didn't fit that, because everything they were
please don't misunderstand me. I think this is a very good, this is very, it's taken it beyond, because you know there's a need, right? You're trying to fulfill a need, and we know that our kids need other type of education besides a standardized way, because a lot of them can't learn that way, right?
And a lot of this is data driven, like 42% of Native kids fail health.
Right.
And that was just over the last 3 years, that was the average. So we're looking to see how can we do an indigenous perspective on health.
Right.
Or do we need to, maybe that would be the first PSEO, I'm not sure how, but that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And if we can incorporate some of the students on IEPs, where you can have a team teacher or something like that. Those are the kinds of things we're looking for in the future. So
I'm just dropping seeds, right? So you're going to think about that, right? Because it's going to take, usually it takes us at least over 3 times to hear something before we like, oh, now I'm understanding what you're saying, right? It's because I'm getting it from on here. So I'm just dropping seeds, planting little seeds.
I just want to address the special education piece real quick. Seeds are great because if there's no seeds, there's no growth, period. So we got to have the seeds. The seeds that, like, for example, our Alternatives to Suspension program did not have a special education teacher in it. And some of those kids were in there for 2 days, 3 days, or more as they were navigating through after a conflict or something. We got a special education case manager in there now, 1 hour a day to help meet their needs. The challenge with this program is you've got kids embedded in a program all day. And so what drives those IEPs is their IEP goals. Those goals often require like a reading strategies class, math strategies, and or self-advocacy. So that's the additional wrinkle on this that we'll have to figure out. But the reason I want to share that is we didn't initially have a case manager in our PAUSE program. That caused a lot of consternation across a variety of constituencies. We figured out how to do that. Now we just need to figure out how to do this differently so we can not only meet the needs of a kid that has an IEP, but also meet their cultural and language needs differently. We got to figure that out. We're not there yet. Sometimes just being in something long enough helps to show you the way, but that is just as evidence that you can figure this stuff out, because what JP is saying is a big concern. We figured it out on a smaller scale. Now we need to figure it out on a bigger scale. We're just not evolved, I think, enough to figure it out yet. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I've told the kids, I'll tell you too, we're building the car as we're going down the highway. We are throwing the wheels on. We're taking input, and your input is really important too. But we ask the students, we're asking the teachers, and we need all of you too to help to know what side of the wheel and where things should go.
Yeah. So just a little bit less here. Moving forward, the program will be explained in detail in meetings prior to enrollment into the cohort with the focus on adding students that really want to participate in the program. Last year, we did this kind of, over the summer, and we tried to contact people, and we didn't get a lot of, feedback. Sometimes some students were, like, really up for it, and they're like, yeah, we want to do this. Other students just found themselves in there because we needed to start with somebody who thought it would be good fit for them. And sometimes we guessed wrong, and it wasn't necessarily a good fit. So we really want to fill the program with students who actually want to be there and want that extra piece of support and that extra cultural knowledge. We'll also be doing entrance and exit guidelines for the program, and we're looking at that right now. Like, as students, if a student transitions out of the program, finding out what is going on, why didn't this work, are there things that we can do in the future to scoop up more students, and then looking at when you're coming into the program, this is going to be the expectations for the students and for the families. So just clarifying some of that as we were moving into it this year, it seems, we're like, okay, we honestly,
We wanted to start at the beginning of this year, and so we moved forward and we started.
we did. When Amanda and I were talking that's our office right there, about like what do we do about these kids, and she's like, we should have our own school. And then we had a meeting, and we're like, holy crap, we're gonna let us do our own school. Like now we
And then
so
just
we've
the
been
other
working
thing.
it out as we go.
I was going to say, so after the first semester, we had lots of people, lots of different students approach us. So it's kind of that thing, if we make this place in the building, they'll come to us.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, it did take a semester, and it was like, oh, you know what, it's not going for me really good out there. I want to be in here.
Right.
So it's just about that. Sometimes it's just about that. So continuing on and doing what we're doing. Sometimes, people do say, oh, I'm going to go on this trip with you. And then they go and then they're like, is this what you guys do all the time? And they're like, oh, okay. Like so that's how comes that those field trips and opportunities and things are open. We did an Indigenous Day people celebration. That was like an all-school thing. We had a feast out here. So there are things that they, slowly and surely they kind of come around and they come around. They'll start to come around to the whole idea. So.
And looking at some of the things, Jerry, do we have another? Is this the end of it?
Yep, it's just questions after this.
Okay, so one more thing I wanted to add about like looking forward when we talk about like getting some more cultural pieces in there, getting some more field trips in there. Like as we are, kind of getting our way through this year, looking forward to next year, how can we add in some of those other opportunities for our students? How can we bring in more language to the general classes and not just Ojibwe language classes? So those are all things that we have been like toying with and looking at, and how can we make these things happen for next year? So it's not done. This whole thing is a work in progress.
So in your schedule of the day, I didn't see Ojibwe language classes as part of their daily schedule.
It's not part of the cohort.
It's not, okay, yeah. It's not part of the cohort.
We scheduled the cohort so that if they wanted to take it, they could.
Yep.
So that there was no overlap. So anyone that's in anybody can take the language wanted to.
Yeah, no, just wanted to clarify that. And then approximately how many field trips, like, did you do this year, and how many field trips, like, would you plan for next year? So when we're thinking budget type things, what are we like looking at?
Well, the cool thing, the Seek to Learn trips we don't pay for though.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to think. Like we didn't. I don't know.
It's usually once a month for those, so we've already taken like 5 or 6. We did a couple things for opportunity days. We set up some. I did wild ricing thing. I think we've done altogether like 5. So the second half of the year is a little bit has been a little more hectic for me. I don't only coordinate stuff for this program, but I help in my department, and I've been helping everybody learn how to coordinate their stuff. I've been helping teach people how to request buses and do other contracts and learn how to do invoices and do all those things, so that otherwise this year with some of our transitions we wouldn't have had any programming as an Indian education department. So, but that's always kind of been one of my roles. I'm probably one of the people who's been here the longest and has had the most experience with those kinds of things. It's a lot of work to coordinate those things. So being able to guide and like help staff learn how to do that and model that for other people has always been a big part of my job, and going into classrooms and doing presentations. So I have not been able to do a lot of those scheduling opportunities for the second half of the year, and we focus more on academic skills this second half. So until we figure out some of those classes, but we could have a full calendar next year. It would be at least 6 trips.
Okay, and just going kind of back to a staffing budget. So there's a classroom teacher support, that's you, and then an instructional para support.
There's me.
What is your role in that? Like, just clearly defined.
American Indian liaison.
Okay.
So a lot of the stuff that I do on there, I do parent contacts. I coordinate a lot of our activities. I try to provide teacher resources. And then, I don't know, I listed some other stuff. You
listed a lot of very high level duties on that slide. So I just want to make sure that that support is budgeted for.
Well, that was something that, like with our previous coordinator, we did budget, but that didn't happen this year. So that is something to greatly consider.
We have another plan coming in June 1st. I just kind of, if that's the plan to use someone in that position like that, they should be paid like that.
Yeah, totally. And then the first class, like I did teach the first quarter of that, but I am not paid as the teacher, and like I'm not the teacher, so I had to let that go.
That's what I mean. It's not looked very much like an instructional para type duties.
Those other 4 teachers are there.
Okay, cool.
So as far as like, and Sheila, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the conversations that we started when we first were looking at building this program last year, was a separate position, a new position to be this para, because it is a higher level than a regular para. But with the transitions and over the summer, it just didn't happen, and Jamie wonderfully like stepped in and said that she could do that like in her old job title. So it was a lot of extra work that she wasn't doing in her other job. So we really appreciate that she stepped up and do that, and taught those classes and stuff. So that might be something that you'll see coming through. It's up to Sheila and how that works out, but another position to support this.
Yes, I just want to make sure that's clear. That's what you guys have had, and just that it's included in that plan.
Support, I don't know if Tom wants to explain
Yeah, so last year, or I should say this year, it feels like last year, Denfeld's commitment is a 0.8 FTE, which is a 0.2 in math, English, science, and social studies. So the 4 core content areas are supported by the building FTE. Essentially, the process for that is when I get my FTE allotment from the school district, we do a sheet that's called the sectioning sheet. So we look at all the course requests for the year, and then you essentially look at sections that you can't run because they're too small, and you go through that whole process. And ultimately, what I did this year is I simply looked inside each one of those 4 departments where you could squeeze a little bit, meaning you're going to maybe take a class size from 27 to 29, 30, 31, and you just created some additional sections that way. Going into next year, I know we're in kind of tougher budgetary times, but to be honest with you, I think once your mindset wraps around something, you just know you're going to do it. There were a couple departments where I squeezed, and there were a couple departments where I just had the FTE. So we're going to go forward with that commitment again for next year. And again, as we heard earlier, this is a lengthy process that we want to be committed to. So we have a cohort of students, so we have the data, so we can refine our practice. So that's our goal, is to continue to support this into the foreseeable future until we get to a point where we have full implementation and good data, which will help inform what our next steps are. But that's how we get the FTE at Denfeld.
And who supports the SEL, the morning?
That is, I believe, Indian Education.
Okay.
Oh, that's Indian Education who does the SEL.
Correct.
Okay, good to know, good to know.
Okay.
Huh?
So that's where that pie comes from.
Yeah, she pays through general funds through the district.
So you're the only position that the district pays for in all that has anything to do with American Indian youth.
Technically, no, but that's a different.
Well, that's nothing for the American Indian funds at all.
Yeah, the only people we have out of American Indian funds are our liaisons.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a chart here coming, I don't know, that'll
But
explain
as
all.
far as language and that kind of stuff, and this, Amanda's paid through the district.
Because technically, the district pays for some of the liaisons because of the SPED department.
Right.
But yeah, that's just
For like just for us.
picnic things. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so the district.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So basically, when we're thinking about how like the state aid grant or Title, well, we'll just talk state aid grant because this is AIPAC, could support the cohort. I'm thinking you mentioned a wild rice field trip, kind of in the fall, a sugar bush field trip in the spring, and 2 to 4 college visits.
The college visits are paid for something separate, paid out of a
Okay.
separate thing.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about the funding for that, but we can create either like a couple incentive opportunities. But see, we didn't leave the building, but we did a feast for Indigenous Peoples Day. So we do other activities during the year. We did an assembly, all-school assembly here, where our students got up and they spoke and presented on the drum. They talked about Indigenous culture. They talked about a couple of the outfits, the single dress, and that was an all-school event that we did. So I would say at least 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay, but trip type things.
Assistants are included. The Guidance and Career Center, we take students to all the area schools and visit.
Yeah.
We do a college fair here. Some we pay for out of our own budget, and then some we get money from career tech ed and apprenticeship people. So, and if we're aware that any of these kids in this cohort, like I sent one on to the fire school today because he wants to be a
Awesome.
firefighter. So it's inclusive for everybody. So once we know, and we do that for all of our kids. If we know what they're interested in, we throw them on a bus and they're going with us.
Okay, and then there was I know that you guys had kind of parent engagement dinners. So approximately how many of those happen?
There were 2.
Yeah, but I'd like to see at least one a quarter.
1 a quarter, so we're looking at 4.
We talked about 4 family nights when we get a little stronger.
4 family nights. Is that something outside families can also be invited to?
Well, that was kind of like the other thing. So when we did the wild ricing field trip, I worked with JP so that all American Indian students could participate.
Yeah.
So
that's
that's
awesome.
how that goes.
Yep.
When we do a field trip, then I work with JP to make sure that it's open to all American Indian students.
Awesome.
And that's the way our funding works.
Okay,
and that
cool.
happens with the national college fair. That I'm hearing you on the trips, Mrs. Greenskill, though, and maybe there can be more of them is one of the things I'm kind of.
I just want to be sure they're in the plan.
But they're good. But I mean, there've been a couple, and also like we did. They might seem smaller, but it was kind of a big deal to bring kids to the January powwow. There are kids that couldn't have gone. Probably half of them cohort kids. They're all Indian Ed kids, right? But
Yep.
It's kind of half and half. So um, the trips are good. It's experiential and it's really good.
Yeah, cool.
This is really great planning and listening about the cohort, but we still have one presentation and, four agenda items to go through. So maybe we can revisit this and have like.
The graduation planning
Oh,
get printed.
oh, right.
It's on the second page.
Yeah, it's on the second page and it's not on here.
Cool. Yep. I'm all for moving on.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
You're okay with.
Are you guys okay with, I mean, do you guys have any other questions? Or if you guys ever have any other questions, you can always reach out to us. And if, we're an open book, we're available, I'm available.
And then when we do, when the AIPAC does work on the plan with myself, we'll reach out to you and maybe have a Zoom, short Zoom meeting, or not Zoom, they call it.
Or like if you guys want to discuss
Google Meet.
Yeah. Or if
Google
you guys
Meet.
want to discuss
The one that never works for us.
if you guys want to discuss like for focus section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I get in there specifically.
Jimmy Witch, I just wanted to ask you guys something before I leave here. Can I have $1 million? No. Miss Abicon wants to do a presentation as like this with you guys.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I
don't know when you could do that.
The May meeting, I think we're doing like a training with MDE, but maybe we could just do like a presentation night. If you want to hit us with some dates that work for whoever your presenter would be, and we could just call kind of a special meeting, just here, AIPAC, learn about, and invite community and kind of do a whole thing.
Because we found out that we have a lot of JOM kids in our class.
Yes.
We've been doing all that stuff.
Yes, awesome.
Which is good. Good signature.
Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah. Good to meet you. I know JP.
Okay. My daughter Yeah.
That was so big. No matter what.
Crazy. She left her fridge door open all day with the heat blasting. She lost all her food. Now she has to go shopping. That's so hurtful, especially when
everything's so expensive, right? God, break the bank for some eggs.
She's just like, oh. Are you good to go? I'm good to go. You want to introduce?
Yeah, okay. Our next presentation is going to be from Teresa Severance, Executive Director, Human Resources and Operations. This will be regarding the Employee Recruitment and Retention Plan. Go ahead, Teresa.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come here and have a conversation with you about the draft recruitment and retention plan. You should have all received a copy of it, I think last week, so you had an opportunity to take a look at it. And I guess what I'm looking for is, feedback. We've met with two different groups, the EAC as well, as our board has provided some input. So there's still kind of a moving document here, but definitely wanted to get some input from this group
I would like to say something about that. About the mentorship, like just so I want to let you guys know, like here as a staff. So I think JP worked in, first I started out, I was hired here before, but I worked in the building, and then I moved to Indian education. JP had a similar experience, but Kanikisa is kind of a recruit. She came and worked with me and volunteered and stuff, and had a lot of experience working in group homes with people with developmental disabilities, and so that's how she kind of came to our department. Then since then, I've mentored her in her job. Anthony Bugg worked with us as a contract service. He was someone that I brought in to work with us in the summers. He worked with us for 3 years, and then when a position opened up, he took a position on our department, and I continued to mentor him. And Dustin Christian, he also worked with our department in the summers as a contract service person for about 3 years, worked in special education, and he's recently taken a position in our department. And we continue to work and mentor him in his job too. So there is definitely, this is kind of something like, I guess I've spent a lot of time like kind of recruiting people on my own to do that, to come and work with us in our summer program, and to try to show them their strengths and how they could be successful in this job. But we definitely have a lot of things in our job description, and they fall under a lot of other people's job descriptions too. So as somebody who works in this district, there's 6 of us, you know, and we have to go to all these different schools, and so we always have this big carryover in our department that we talk about all the time. I definitely would encourage you to try to hire more people. You know, and if there's going to be 6 of us, then we should look at like how we can make sure that when we find somebody who's really valuable in this job, that we're able to keep them. That we're doing whatever we need to keep them, because it's really hard, and sometimes these jobs go vacant for a long time.
Go ahead, Sheila.
Brenda's got her hand up.
So,
sorry. You go first.
yeah, I had my hand up for a while. So just one thing I forgot to mention, and I'm so sorry, and it doesn't have anything to do with content, but I really hate that when we have American Indian content in documents like this, and we're put right at the end of the document. You know, like we should be first. You know, we're first people. We're on this land. You know, first. So it's just something that really, you know, bothers me all the time when I see that. Another thing is we do have currently 2 positions open for liaisons and 1 for Masabikong. Half-time at Masabikong, and then the other half is Myers-Wilkins. So there, if you know anybody that would be a good fit to, you know, apply for the liaison positions, please encourage them to apply. It's been extended twice already for the first one that was posted. The one that was posted 2024 has been the deadline has been extended so many times. So really, you know, put the word out there. And like Teresa said, you know, these positions that are posted are gone everywhere. So how can we, you know, fill these positions? We need to talk to our friends, our, you know, people that we meet at Walmart, or, you know, just keep passing that information, those positions to our people, get them out there through our voice, because a lot of times, you know, things that are posted on websites, nobody really has a time to search for them, you know, and sometimes the websites are not user-friendly, and not all of us are on Facebook, so, you know, it's just a thought, a couple things.
Teresa?
Yes.
thank you for everything that's been said, everybody. And I wanted to say two things. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Goldstein is good too. The parents, godparents, aunties, uncles, cousins, even older siblings of our students, when they are in the building, they are of tremendous added value as educators. There are many parents, Denfeld Indian Ed parents, that would be way better at my job than I am, and they aren't in it for whatever reason. But like those things that Mrs. White is talking about, and I tell them when these are out there. But I think really making it serious to parents and the godparents and all that. Like, look, please apply. The cultural competency training for hiring managers goes hand in hand with that, and I will give you. And this is a literal example that we joke about sometimes. I was about to withdraw my application because I was told in a follow-up phone call that there would be a conversational Ojibwe language test, competency test for the job. I don't think you were even in the department at that time. But like I was told, just so you know, they will be calling you for a conversational Ojibwe test, and luckily I held my tongue, but I went to Benesikwe and I said, I'm sorry, lady, I'm withdrawing because I do not wish to disrespect the language. I know some Ojibwe and she knows that about me, but I withdrew. And my application continued because of what Mrs. Dela Cruz is saying. There was a relationship there. She knew some things about me and my family and stuff like that, and so it continued. But I'm wondering how many people before me who actually went to Benesikwe and said, I'm sorry, I'm withdrawing, and this is why. How many people said, oh, I'm not, you know what, some grandparent that they can't do the conversational Ojibwe test. So this item on the cultural competency training for hiring managers, really important in that case. And I know this is before your time, but I'm not making that up. That's a real example. Sorry, Mrs. Goldstein.
Okay, Brenda, do you want to go now?
Yeah. Thanks, Jakey, and that is no problem. Good insight too. Just thinking about staffing. I think we're looking even beyond Indian education programs here as far as recruitment and retention goes. So I just want
I just have a comment. This probably kind of relates to what you were just saying as far as this mentorship program that's talking about. I guess I want to be sure that. So is it kind of an administrative level mentorship over people like what Jamie described was her being a mentor to, you know what I mean, all these different people she has brought in just naturally, you know what I mean, and here it is now here in black and white. That's not part of her job description. Is she going to be allowed, or whoever these mentors are, allowed time and compensated for their time outside of the day? Or is that kind of something we have to think about as far as contract extension type thing? Even just like a 1 hour extra a month, you know, to meet. I think it says monthly regular meetings at least once a month for the first year. So identifying who would be the mentor and how do you compensate them for that time while not taking away their time from those direct services they're supposed to be providing.
Absolutely, and that's a great question. I've had conversation with the para union, so those would definitely be things that we brought forward to say, like liaisons, for example, fall under that umbrella. What does that look like for the mentorship? Because there is no language other than in the teacher's contract right now, but most of our contracts are being renegotiated this year, and so it's something that's definitely in my mind on how do we ensure there is time and compensation, and what does that look like in the different pieces. So I've already started conversations with the para president about kind of what that would look like, not only for the Native employees, but for every employee coming in, because we want to make sure people are feeling welcome, and what does that look like. And I would say, to your earlier question, it is more of a peer or someone that you have in your building, someone that maybe isn't your same job, but it's somebody that you can go to when you have questions and need some support. So it would not, I don't envision it being administrative top down. I would see it being more level or somebody that you're comfortable with in that role.
So with because I know like what Brenda was talking about, yes, means more people for the Indian Ed department, right? Like they're not fully staffed. But to what Brenda was talking about, like science teachers and English teachers and kindergarten teachers, right? Like even if you're not working like a specialty, like you're not at Masabicom or you're not in the Indigenous cohort, just you're a teacher, staff member, you're a para, you're a secretary, like you're all these people, like having Indigenous people in those spaces so that it's not like, well, we only see Indigenous staff with Indigenous programming. Like you see yourself everywhere and anywhere that you could want to be. And like with this mentorship, is that with like that somebody from the Indian Ed department would be mentoring them, or is it somebody from the side? Like, I guess, is that exclusive to just like what Jamie was saying, where it's like people within like the department, the Indian Ed department, supported those staff, and then they came into that. Is that mentorship that applies to just like any position within the district if you are, say, like an Indian staff member?
Any position within the district.
Okay. And then I would agree with what Amber said about, it's a lot of work to mentor somebody. Jamie spent a lot of time outside of what is her job description doing that, and so it's like if people are doing those things, they should be compensated accordingly. Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I guess like for me, the struggle is like I'm thinking that there's only a limited amount of us. So like we get already invited to all those meetings and all those things. So we're gonna get a new pool of people. Like where are we looking to pull this new pool of people from to offer support to us and like for us to create positions like in the district,
I'm happy to take how might that look? It's a great question. And there is 29 of you, by the way.
29 American Indian employees in the district. Thank you for that number. I wasn't, but I love it.
The recommendations for that. I've been working on that concurrent piece, so I do have some staff.
That's awesome.
But it's only 1.8% of our whole staff, so I guess
So those would be people who they have self-identified.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the only way we would
And ideally, we want that to match the demographics of, the school itself, right?
Yes, and I do have data on that too, just not in front of me.
That's fine.
Because I did that for, I think, the EAC committee or maybe the board, just our entire demographics, student versus adults in the building.
Yeah,
So,
I'm pretty sure it's 7.9%
yeah.
district-wide.
Probably
That's okay. The $1,500 recruitment allocation, does that come specifically from Indian education budget, or is that coming from a different budget?
That comes just out of our regular human resources.
Human resources budget, awesome. Thank you.
Unless there's more, then take it.
I saw a number. I was like, well, where is that actually coming from?
I do want to say something about, like, there are sometimes I think, like, it is something to consider because this position, there's so much in it. When we talk to other people that work in jobs that are similar, their jobs are all year round, but they also are offering more money for them. So that is something to think about and look like that. If we want that experience, at some point, that's something to consider.
When you say 29 staff, does that include, that's like licensed teachers, non-licensed, clerical, custodial, like
Yep,
everyone? Okay, district-wide.
I kind of want to go back to, you had said that there are 2 open positions, and actually 3 open, is it 3 open positions? Because we're including one for the part-time Masabakang Myers-Wilkins, or is that included in that 2 open position?
I just totally lost it.
We're just paying for
I think it's Lowell. It's not
Oh,
really.
it's Lowell.
It's not.
Lowell Elementary School.
Yeah, it's not.
You used to work here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's your.
That was
No.
Was that full?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a separate one, not one.
It's
There
full
was one
time.
empty
I
on
just
here.
split it between
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. Oh, it's right.
Most
It's
of
in
Yeah,
it.
okay. I would just had it wrote in 2 open positions, then
Yeah.
1 part-time at Masabak. So is there actually, I guess my ultimate question is, do we have 3 open positions, or is it just 2?
The one that was posted last year to 2024
Okay.
is Jamie's position. And then Masabikong has a cultural liaison, language and cultural liaison.
Okay.
And then one was just posted.
So it is three positions.
So yeah, there are 3.
Okay.
Brian's coming back, right?
Cultural liaison?
Or am I wrong?
Brian Kingfisher, he's
None
coming
of the
back.
teachers are funded. Not even
He's
the
a
parents.
para
They're not
No,
funded by
but
us.
it's posted on there.
It's
It's a
posted.
para.
not
It's posted.
Not
Okay.
just the liaison.
No, it's not on.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's coming back.
The
right?
Masabikong isn't
Yes.
our.
So that's not on
It's
there.
paid out of OEE.
But we are
Yeah.
looking for another para.
Yes.
For Masabakang.
So it's
Yeah.
only 2.
So only 2. So I'm only
One is for our
2.
department, and one is for Masabikong. Okay, Brian's coming back.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
one on there that says Brian Kingfisher, he's coming back.
For a para and liaison for Lowell.
Brian Kingfisher, where is that?
At the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just reiterating again, Ms. Severance, there's thousands of parents and aunties and uncles and godparents, and I mean and there's probably some
Godparents.
something we gotta follow, but I mean like, you have their email addresses, you know what I mean? You have their home addresses. I haven't seen any for a while, and I know it gets to be winter here, but I love walking into a school and it says, we're hiring. You know, when I'm going into my kids' schools, I already have a job, but I mean, we want you. You know what I mean? And yeah, okay, of course, we're gonna do a background check and some other stuff, but I mean, 9/10 or some huge number of these people, if they were willing to do like Mrs. Dela Cruz said, and maybe take a pay cut in some cases, but if they really wanted to be in that
Tell
role,
Aiden about
we want you.
para.
Yeah, we want you.
Should be good.
You know?
So like some sort of like family outreach.
Yeah, that wasn't even a complete sentence. I'm saying like
Something
keep
along those
reaching
lines.
out to, or even just something that says, or reach out to your, you or someone you know about has these qualifications or these, that stuff, the language that you have, it's good about who can take the jobs. But I think it's just like we talk about with the kids, letting them know that they belong here and they would be a valued part of the team. Because some people, maybe
So in the past, we've been told that Masabikang isn't covered under AIPAC or anything like that. Would we, as AIPAC, be part of? I mean, it's listed on the sheet. Would we be part of that interview? Would we be expected to be part of that interview process, or can we be expected to be part of that whole process, just like these other positions on the sheet? Yeah, the interview. Well, there's a whole. It's like application. What does it say here on the last page? AIPAC specifically.
AIPAC involvement in interviews.
Yeah. When possible, AIPAC members will participate as members of interview committees for positions that directly impact American Indian students. Their responsibilities will include reviewing candidate applications, developing culturally relevant interview questions, participating in interviews, and providing feedback on candidates' cultural competency. A formal agreement outlining these responsibilities will be established. So I guess that's what I'm looking at. Does those immersion teachers fall under that, or is this just for? Because that's a really broad statement there, who impacting American Indian students.
When I applied as a teacher, they did ask me about culture in my language and if I could speak and say something in the language. So that was one of the things that I put. And I thought I had to teach a lesson in Ojibwe for my people that were interviewing me. And that's part of our interview process for teachers.
Yeah, but I'm just asking, is AIPAC expected to be involved based on this draft of a plan?
Dinesi Kwe was involved, the Achke Naukwe, William Howes, and then there was a para from Savikan, or a parent, and a para, I believe so.
Because here the language says, for positions that directly impact American Indian students. The argument could be made all positions
Exactly.
impact everybody in the right. So it's like, is it people who are in staff for the American Indian Education Department? Should it be, like, is it at schools that have high populations of students?
And I was just going. You gave us this list of people.
Do you want them to participate in the interviews that you're conducting for paras? Do you need someone from? Do you need someone from the parent committee?
Me and the principal.
Okay, that's the question.
That's the question.
When I hire paras, it's just me and the principal.
Yeah.
And I sit there, just the two of us.
Yeah.
That position.
Okay. Yeah. Just because I have gotten emails asking for letters of support for a para for Masabi Kong, and you know what I mean. I said, yeah, all for it. Like, show up at a meeting and we'll talk. But I really don't know, because I've also said I've gotten multiple emails for other positions, and then when I forward them, they go nowhere. So I'm just trying to understand where we fall in.
You're right. It is a little ambiguous the way that it's stated in there.
Mm-hmm.
And from one of the things is that that AIPAC, especially when the funding for the position is coming out of our budget, there should be at least the offer of hey, HR would send out an email to the committee. We have some applicants for this position. We're looking to do interviews on, these days. Would anybody be available, right? We can't necessarily say somebody from the committee's not available. We need to hire people, but there needs to be a meaningful, realistic time frame for somebody from the committee to be a part of that interview. I'd say at minimum, if the funding that we are responsible for making the budget for those staff, there needs to be a genuine effort from HR to include us on those interviews. Minimum if our funding is
Exactly.
for that. Yeah. I mean, other stuff too, right? If there's other opportunities where it's funding.
Where you think our input would be valuable.
Right. Yeah, but if our funding is paying for part or all of that position, then there needs to be a committee member at least a genuine effort to include. Now, hey, we're having interviews today at 1:00. Can anybody come? Right? I would consider that a reasonable
Right. That's not meaningful.
That's not meaningful, right? But like, check the box. Yeah, like if our funding is part of that position, we need to be able to do that. That's no problem. I think for like other positions, in general, we don't have external, but I mean, it makes sense. It's a funding source for sure. That makes sense. I just don't know from the other perspective how broad, because that typically is not, we don't have external non-employees on it, but it would absolutely make sense for positions
Yeah.
from your perspective.
And then it came up, we were told Jen had been creating that cohort position, that liaison cohort position. Had that process been completed? Is it still in process? I mean, I'm not sure if we have someone there, what that whole situation is. And is that one of these open positions that are listed here?
I don't think that position was ever created. At least it never came to my desk. I know that Ms. Garbo had some conversations initially when the movement was happening. Yeah, I think I know she was working with Charlie. I'm just not sure there was ever even a draft of it, other than a conversation about putting
it was all
through.
just conversational.
Yeah. So I can certainly check with Charlie, the HR manager, and where that's at, if he has anything. But it would have to come through me to go any further, and I have not seen it.
And you haven't seen it. So the process would be, it came up, if that's a position the cohort says they need, the process, what would that process look like starting today?
If it's a new position, which it would be because it's very specific, then we would just sit down and have a conversation with the supervisory and what does that position look like, the people that are involved in the cohort, what kind of things we want to make sure we're including. Then we would move from there to create a new job description. We certainly could bring that forward to this group if you wanted to see it prior to it going through the next process. I'm assuming it would be another para position, and once we have an approved description or it kind of meets all the needs, then it goes through the board approval process and the negotiation with the union for pay. So we send it to an external source for what we call banding and grading, and so they look at a bunch of different components related to how jobs get pay scaled, and then they send us back, here's where it would lie, and then we look in the contracts and kind of see where that fits based on our internal equities.
Okay.
And then that's how it gets a pay established.
Okay. So the conversation has happened, right? We established that?
The conversation happened. I knew the conversation would happen when the cohort.
Garble.
Yeah.
Not through HR.
No. Yeah, I think
Jen
did talk to Charlie about the idea of the position.
And who's Charlie?
Charlie's the HR manager.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So to move forward on that process, a new conversation has to start, kind of immediately. To develop the job description. About how long would you estimate that process to create that position would take?
Once I have all the information, it takes me a couple of days to put together.
Couple of days, okay.
As a draft.
So thinking 2 to 3 weeks would be a reasonable time frame. All right.
Once we have the meeting to get a product that says, hey, how does this look? Let's tweak it, that kind of thing.
And the wage would be based on that job description,
correct.
Whether it be a higher wage scale. Okay.
We send that job description out, like I said, to our external source, and I can kind of explain at some point what components. There's all kinds of different pieces that go into evaluating the job, but then they would send us that back, and we would then negotiate with the union about what we believe that pay would be from administrative, and then there's a negotiation. Where does that really fit?
Okay, so we have in this piece of paper that we got, we have AIE and Title VI. Let's see. For the liaisons, we have an AIE liaison, a SPED liaison, a Title VI liaison, some more SPED liaisons. Do they have different job descriptions based on what their basic, I guess the title that I'm looking at that pays for them? Do they have different job descriptions?
Not that I know.
Sometimes what they're called on here is not. Oh, yeah. So, like the American Indian Homeschool Liaison, they're all the same job description. Yes.
So a homeschool liaison paid through SPED has the exact same job description as one paid through American Indian Education.
Yes.
Yeah, their funding source does not change their job description. It's just how they're funded. So the job description is the same, doing the same work. Yes.
Who's paying it is the only difference.
Right. Which is not relevant to my process.
Okay.
What did you want to ask, Steve?
Do your employees have the opportunity to report racism or microaggressions in the workplace? Like, what does that look like? Because I'm seeing that there's a complaint procedure. Has that changed from the past?
The complaint procedure has not changed. I mean, other than how they come in, I think we have a JOT form now that gets used, and it goes to HR as well as the assistant superintendent's office. And then depending on what the complaint is, one of us takes it and moves forward with it.
Okay, what does that look like, though?
What does the process look like?
Right, when you're taking a complaint and moving forward with it.
Yeah, there's an investigation, and that can vary depending on the severity of the situation. Sometimes the investigation is done at the site level by the leadership team. Sometimes HR gets involved and does those. Sometimes we external, if we don't have the means to get to it in any timely fashion, we might outsource it to. We have a couple different external investigation groups that we turn to. They do those.
Are they all law firms from the district that do the investigations? So how many different teams do the investigations?
External, we've got 3 that we've used since I've been here. We have Church and Associates, which is local, and then our law firm is in the Twin Cities, and then there is another investigator that's independent out of the Twin Cities that Church had recommended when they could not do it that we used.
Okay.
So those sounded like 3 law firms?
Nope.
Or lawyers?
2 are not law firms. There's just one of the law firms.
So Church and Associates is not a law firm?
Nope. It's a HR consulting.
Oh, HR consulting firm? Okay.
So this is just the general complaint form that employees use to submit a complaint for discrimination.
Yeah, on the website there. There's a general complaint form, and then there's a harassment complaint form, and then a bullying complaint form, which can be used. There's 3 different forms that go into the complaint system, if you will, which is kind of where that JOT form filters in, and that's what gets sent to both the HR and assistant superintendent, and then we go through it and determine what's appropriate for who to take it.
And those are on the HR website?
Nope, they're on the district's website.
Does that get flagged as a specific, like, American Indian problem? Or is that tracked somehow where those different cases or situations are pooled?
No, it doesn't have any, there is no demographic information, if you will, that's included in that.
That might be helpful, though, for your retention, because you do exit interviews. But do you have, I feel like there's a documentation of problems that Native employees have had in this district. So I'm just wondering, what does the tracking for that look like, and how do you analyze the problem? Like, where does this come from?
And we could certainly add a demographic source. So that we could filter by demographics. I don't know that we would always get that response on there, but we could certainly add it on as an option.
Okay.
Is there tracking of how many complaints are made versus how many complaints are followed up on?
Yes.
There is. Okay. Interesting.
We do report, so they're reported a little differently
Okay. What about community member?
It
Or like it would be a parent complaint, I guess.
If a parent complaint was against a staff member, it's considered an employee complaint. Not from an employee, but it involved an employee.
Okay.
So when somebody goes and talks to a supervisor, are they offered that form?
If someone, yes, they should be directing them to, you should fill out this form because that's the formal way that we get the information.
But I feel like I've never been offered that option. I've never even been told. I've had to search for things.
No,
I've never even barely got a follow-up.
I think that's where I'm coming from as well, though. Like, when I was working in the school district, I didn't know about this. And when I went to Human Resources, it didn't seem like it helped the problem. It seemed like it made the problem worse.
I do remember telling you about the complaint form several times, though, but...
So is the part of the, so it sounds like there was maybe a lack of employee like knowledge. So like as a part of onboarding, is that complaint process like when the employee is coming in and saying like the onboarding is there, and if there's not, there should be a part of that onboarding of this is the complaint process or grievance process in that, because we shouldn't have employees saying I didn't know how to, or there was never made available to me that I have an avenue to have that.
As an employee, like no one gives you the handbook.
You have to take it upon yourself to go get it.
To go look it up and print it out and research it.
So that should be a part of the onboarding process, that like day one, that employee had no information to be able.
I feel like it might make people feel more protected, to be honest, to know that there's some place where they can document or have a voice or have it be tracked specifically by, like, this is a problem that affects Native employees.
Or when you have a complaint, that you don't have to count on this one person to help you through this process, or like independently, you should be able to do that. You shouldn't have to go to a supervisor or someone, and it should be their responsibility to give you that and do all that. You know what I mean? You should be able to access that on your own independently. That information should be made available to all of us when we start.
I know this is where I talk about the onboarding and some of that improvement that needs to be made. When we do our big onboarding with kind of the start of the school year with new staff, that is part of our HR process now to go over some of those kind of big things like the harassment policy and how do you report it. But somebody that gets hired not in that part doesn't necessarily get that full piece. So those are definitely things that are part of what we are striving for, so that we do have that consistent how everybody gets brought in the same. But that's a really good reminder. And then just somebody that has been here for a while, I know that
this website has changed many times.
The website has changed. It's not easy to find because I now just Google complaint forms and it finally brings me to it. But if you didn't know it, it's not intuitive, and especially for employees, because I don't think it's on the employee side. I think it's on the district side. So that's something that we can also put on our HR page on the employee side. So we can link it in multiple places, which probably would be helpful too, just so that
so when you have, or there is a district onboarding, and if you're part of that, that's great. But when you go to a site, things operate very different at a school.
And that's what
so if there would be like an additional site onboarding.
Yeah, and that's what we're working on. Yeah. We're actually starting to meet with principals as well as different staff. So I said it would be helpful, I think, to meet with this group as well about what would that look like and what would be important. But yeah, so we know that is definitely inconsistent, and some schools do it really good and some do not. So we want to make sure that there's something that everybody's getting, and that would be a great place to remind again about those resources for sure.
Going back to the draft document, page 12, the job description review. How long has it been since job descriptions were reviewed? For specifically in the American Indian Education Department.
Well, here's a funny, not funny, this happens to be timely. There was just I have a school administrator personnel group that just asked about American Indian coordinator position. I'm like, oh, we have a good job description.
actually, you have two from the same date who report to two different directors.
Yeah, I was going to say that one even said it reports to the curriculum person, which we don't even have anymore. So there's a lot of job descriptions within the district that are old and outdated. We are systematically trying to work through that. We're working right now, like with our clerical unit, for example, and going through all of the clerical ones. And we've done some one-off changes as what should happen in time if you have a job description. Anytime you post a job, you should be looking at the job description and making changes. That hasn't happened. We're trying to do that more consistently, but I think what often happens is we need this job now. We didn't know somebody was leaving. Post it, and we'll deal with it later, and then it's never dealt with later. So ideally, they should be looked at every 5 years at a minimum.
And with respect to American Indian education job descriptions, it's going to be liaisons, coordinator, let's see, the AI coordinator, AI clerical, the homeschool liaisons.
I mean, we can certainly take those as a group, similar to what I'm doing with the clericals, and just say, hey, you should get these all up to date. That would not be.
What about integration specialist or check and connectors?
Check and connect is pretty new because that is probably less than 10 years old, just because they're relatively new positions in the district. The integration specialists, they're probably close to that 10 because they haven't been in a union very long, and I think they were redone when they went through that process.
And what union are they in specifically?
They have their own.
The integration specialists?
They do. Yep.
Okay. What are they called? Just out of curiosity.
It's called the ISPEC.
It's called the ISPEC unit. Yeah. Okay. And then just wanting to compare job descriptions between what liaisons are expected to do compared to integration specialists and the check and connect specialists, and where that.
We could certainly, however you would like to see that move forward, with Jamie's position, if that's having a small subgroup that just looks at them and talks about it, I'm happy to facilitate having those conversations, how that would look.
Okay.
I mean, there's certain pieces that, as an organization and administration, that we're going to want to make sure we have what we need to, but I think we don't do the jobs, right? So hearing from the people that do the work and what does that really look like a day in the life, and everybody probably knows a job description can't have everything you do every day because there's just too much, right? But to be able to make sure we've got the things that are the most important, that are the most frequently asked and done, and how that looks like, that's what we should.
I just want to, draw attention to the very specialized knowledge our American Indian liaisons and employees have, and their knowledge is utilized daily in multiple ways outside of their job description. I'm just going to point out to your cultural events, American Indian staff will have a significant role in planning and execution. And if that's our liaisons, that their very specialized knowledge is being used for that. So, maybe thinking about that pay scale and where you're starting your liaisons off is on the pay scale.
And those are things definitely when you think about how a job gets evaluated. One of the components that is looked at, what are the special skills needed? So it doesn't necessarily mean a master's degree, or education obviously is a component of it, but if there's a specialized skill, those do come into play because there's value to any of those type of skills that for any job description. So the more we can integrate those type of things in the job description, that will help bolster how it gets evaluated. And I think the level of autonomy and some of those, how are they, in the event planning for your example, are they assisting versus are they planning, right? Like
this is planning and executing.
The verbs make a difference.
Yes, the verbs make a difference.
How they're evaluated. So those are all things that would be good conversations about what level of responsibility is that going to look like for those different level of positions, right?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions. Any final questions?
I just think that piece about making sure that the positions that we fund, that we are a part of that interview process, like at minimum, that
Miigwech. Next on the agenda, we have community takeaways from the MIA conference. I know myself, Tim, Lydia, we were the three that went. My registration and hotel, I believe, was all paid for by JOM. So in the interest of time, I'll share that at the next JOM meeting.
I found it to be really helpful. There was a lot of sessions that were specific towards AIPAC and different parent committees and like strategies of working with our students. And there was a lot of opportunity for networking with other AIPACs around the state and getting connected with some of the things that they do and learning some different strategies from them and some of the like PBIS that how are different districts and different committees supporting our students through different methods that apply to them that are bringing cultural pieces into the PBIS that are really showing impact with their students in a really demonstrated way. And there's some sessions about the plan that we have to develop that's due June 1st. Some really good guidance and ideas about how to make a meaningful plan the first time around, and just some different ideas on goals and different ways we can meet those. So I think it was really a good experience, and MIA they do a good job every year, and I thought it was helpful.
You can tell them, Tim. No problem.
MIA.
Pat.
The same thing she said. I mean, we ran into each other quite a bit. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. As the other years I have. Got to meet Jane and Betsy. Networking was big for me. And friends. So I encourage everybody next year to go take advantage of it, and you do learn.
I do, yeah. I would suggest just planning to have all committee members be allowed that opportunity and just like including that in the AIPAC budget or the state aid budget.
We did have a student who participated. She left her note, so please make sure you read that.
Yes.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that she was very excited and brought back to other students how excited she was to see about the Knowledge Bowl opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would like to explore next year, being in the school when we've talked about even offering opportunities to 11th and 12th graders in the cohort. That would be an excellent opportunity to offer that.
Knowledge Bowl was so much fun when I was in high school. Yeah. I loved it.
And I think there's a couple as far as incentivizing the opportunity to travel like that.
Yes. Even getting together with local teams.
There's a couple times a year that happens, so there would possibly be a couple times that we would look to be sponsored to travel as a Knowledge Bowl team. And that's another way that we can include not just students in the cohort, but all American Indian students.
That would be really cool.
And I know that I brought this up in the fall when it released the dates, but I think being more planful to get, our registration, everything was last minute, and I feel like throughout the school year I've been trying to make sure that we're getting more people there, and our students. Next year, I believe it's in Hinkley because they alternate between Anishinaabe and Lakota grounds that they like to hold it at, and having Hinkley is much closer geographically than Mystic Lake to bring more students, right? Like, this is an opportunity in case there's
we have a lot of students.
to the connection of having, we could do, if it's like the youth day, if they do a youth day again, we could bring down a whole bunch of students to meet other students from across the state.
Just a busload, yeah.
As long as you're chaperoning.
Chaperoning is a significant concern there, but right.
But if we start planning for that in the fall, when the conference happens in the spring, if we start early enough, we could figure those things
Lux plans to do a little presentation at JOM because again, hers was paid for through JOM on what her takeaways were.
I know everyone's concerned about time, but I wanted to just add something to what, if you don't mind, to what Mr. Pohl said. Mr. Pohl and I had a really special experience, and my brother happened to be there. I won't get into all the details, but we were talking with one of the presenters, and it was a really special. When we talk about networking, like these folks were sharing things, some work they're doing with young men actually in their community, and like Mr. Pohl and my brother, he works in medicine. He's a totally different field, and myself, we were all like, yeah, it sounds like we will probably have an invitation to go to this other tribal nation and see their work, and hopefully Tim or Mr. Bug or I or some of the other, or Mr. Christon or whatever, some of us can go and see some of that stuff and try and maybe try it. And so like the networking is like really non-trivial. It was a there's the just getting invited places and stuff, but I mean this was a really potentially a big